In this video, we're time traveling back to December of 2002 to the Pima Pistol Club 3-gun match. This is the earliest match that I have recorded on video, which makes for an interesting analysis of how things have changed since then. This series of photos is the gear that I was using at this particular match. In 2002, I was 20 years old, and I had been working at Cav Arms for about a year and a half at this point. I got involved in competitive shooting not long after I started working for Cav Arms. My boss at the time suggested that I compete to gain a better understanding of how firearms are actually used and improve my personal skill level. This would give me credibility in discussing our products with customers, particularly because I had not been in the military and I had no law enforcement background. The race gun aspect of competition didn't appeal to me. However, as someone that owned firearms for self-defense and/or theoretical shit-hit-the-fan use, using the match as a test bed for my equipment and firearms as a total system was something I saw value in from the beginning. The gear I'm wearing in these photos is a Tactical Tailor MAV with a variety of Specialty Defense System pouches and Tactical Tailor shotgun shell carriers. The holster I'm wearing is a Safariland 6004 series for my Glock 21. Molly gear was still relatively new at this time, so being able to configure a vest to be exactly what you wanted it to be was a really exciting concept versus purchasing a vest like an older Eagle TAC series that was dedicated to a particular purpose. Experimenting with different gear setups and configurations for how to best carry all these ammunition types was one of the things I enjoyed about 3-gun at this time. Trooper Division would not exist until 2004, and Armor Division would not come into being until November of 2012 at the 2-gun action challenge matches. I did have a complete contemporary armor setup at this time, but using it at matches seemed like a bit much. My contemporary competitors at the time thought I was weird enough wearing a tack vest instead of a simple belt rig. The rifle I'm holding in this photo is the one I'm using in this match footage. It is a Cav 15 Generation 4 Mark I lower receiver. The lower has standard mil-spec fire control parts, including a standard safety selector. I did not use any ambidextrous controls at this time. The upper has a 20-inch government profile barrel, which balanced well on the Cav 15 lower receiver. The sight is an OCO 4W red dot imported from the Czech Republic. The magazines I'm using are USGI surplus. They were all made prior to the 1994 assault weapons ban that was in effect during this time. The shotgun I used was a basic Remington 870 HD, 18-inch cylinder bore with 6+1 capacity. It featured a bead sight only. The handgun I was using at this time was a Glock 21 in 45 ACP. The Glock 21 was my first handgun I purchased during the assault weapons ban. Going down to 10 rounds from 13 wasn't nearly as bad as going down to 10 rounds from 17 of the Glock 17. My logic was that if I couldn't have a lot of rounds, I might as well have big ones. I had a couple 13-round magazines at this time with +2 extensions. They were very expensive and hard to come by. Most of my magazines were 10 rounds only. I didn't know any better at this time, so I still had the plastic factory sights mounted to this slide. I didn't know how much they were holding me back until I tried other sights on friends' pistols. The video quality here is quite awful. This is back when we were still recording to digital tapes, then copying that data from the tapes to the computer. HD and digital media in the form we have today did not exist. After engaging the close-range paper on this stage, the shooter has to engage a number of intermediate-range steel to about 200 yards on this bay. It's kind of painful to go back and look at how slow and deliberate I was in these videos at the time they were filmed. But part of the reason I'm sharing them is so that the newer shooters I encounter today can understand that everyone starts somewhere. I often encounter people that think I'm somehow particularly blessed or naturally gifted in my shooting skill. It was a lot of years of hard work and a lot of money and ammo sent downrange to get to the skill level I'm at today. And it's actually much easier to get better faster today because of the resources through media that are available for people that are new to the sport. You don't have to relearn the same lessons that many of us had to figure out on our own by participating month after month. One of the things that stands out to me in this video is that there seems to be more targets to be engaged at a club level event than there are at most matches today. I think this is simply a factor of that the stages could be longer when less people used to attend these events. In general, the number of people attending a club level match in my state has tripled since I began shooting back in 2001. While I wasn't particularly fast on any of these stages, on the intermediate range rifle stages I felt like I performed better than the average shooter at this time. I grew up shooting air rifles in my backyard out to 100 yards in Michigan, and I believe a lot of those basic marksmanship principles carried over to shooting rifles in 3-gun competitions. This is in fact the same range that you see in some of my 2-gun action challenge match videos today, though the exact layout of this 200-yard bay has been changed quite a bit over the years as they've bulldozed berms out of the way and added other features.
Participants, I still shot 49. That's pretty good. I didn't think that was bad. I was disappointed I shot 5 hot.
This particular 3-gun match had a rifle stage, a pistol stage, and a shotgun stage. This is the pistol-only stage portion of the event. You're going to see me do a painfully slow reload here. The magazine pouches I'm using have Velcro flaps to secure the magazines, and at the time I believe that even empty magazines should be retained, so I throw the empty down the front of my shirt to retain it because I did not have a dump pouch at the time. In fact, the BDUs I'm wearing, I had cut the pouches off the bottom of the BDU blouse so that it could be tucked in expressly for this purpose. I can't remember which book I read about this in at the time, but it was believed to be tactically appropriate during this period. Looking at this match video today, all I can think about is how much faster I would be able to do it with my improved skills and full capacity magazines. Shooting with reduced capacity magazines really is an annoyance that I hope I never have to experience again.
If you're finished, unload, show clear.
Another thing I do differently here is that when I need to reload, I step behind the wall simulating cover to top off my shotgun, because this would have been the, quote, tactically appropriate thing to do. If you want to shoot matches this way, more power to you. However, my opinion has evolved a lot since then, in that I don't think that tactics can be broken down into rote actions. Matches are generally not very good at testing real-world tactics. They are very good at testing gun handling and marksmanship under a variety of challenging circumstances. The scenario one finds himself in should dictate the tactics used. At a match, your enemy is the clock, so everything should be done that is possible to reduce the amount of time spent on a stage. In this case today, it would mean reloading on the move between all these positions. Although with this old-style loop shell-carrying system, I'm not sure how effectively or quickly I could reload on the move in any case. Load 2 and Load 4 systems did not exist at this time, and even the California Competition Works shell caddies were rarely seen for at least the first several years I was competing. The most common gear I saw people using were 3-gun gear side saddles, bandoliers, and wrist shell carriers. I still thought shotguns were cool at this time, so the amount of time I spent reloading on these stages, or how many shells I had to use, really didn't bother me. Just using a shotgun was fun. It's funny looking back at this and thinking how much my opinion on the use of shotguns in competition has changed over this time. Now I shoot mostly 2-gun rifle pistol matches, and if a match doesn't have a shotgun, it's nothing that bothers me. It's actually my preference. Hopefully this video has shown you some things that you weren't aware of before if you're new to the sport. And like I said earlier, everyone starts somewhere, and anyone can get good at this with enough resources, practice, and training. Thank you for watching, and come back again for more match and multi-gun competition content.